Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre, and this week we're back in Roundtable, and the last one went over so well, I want to do it again, and my guest definitely had some insight to this one, but this week we are doing the top, our opinions, the top 5 trilogies, the best trilogies out there. Some of these are Captain Obvious, but there's definitely some in here that you guys should definitely check out. So with that, returning to Average Superstar TV, the great Yeti, a.k.a. Eddie. Welcome back, brother.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Living a good life.
You forgot the big caveat about today's episode. Trilogies that are not Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right. We were getting to that. Or Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and first time on this show is Jessica, whose husband's been on this show at least 3 times by now with some of our roundtables. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Hi. Yeah, Halloween year round.
That's right. Yep. I got the other half. So yeah. We got Dave and his history. We want to find out what Jessica brings to the table.
It should be fun.
Yeah. But we're going to kick off the countdown officially. I will start with Jessica. And coming in at her number 5 is the Bridget Jones trilogy.
Yeah.
Floor's all yours.
I picked this one for number 1. I kind of can have the same personality, sort of. I feel like the bubbliness, the quirkiness, with the personality, also like just the things that she goes through. So like it's about how, like, just a summary of the first one at least is basically like she is going through, like, she's single and like she's kind of going through like, okay, what can I do to like improve myself, improve my life? I put a diary out there, have goals, etc. And at the same time, like, she's falling in love with her boss.
Gotcha.
So I picked this one just because it's different, it's unique. I fit the personality of her a little bit, and I also sort of had a thing with a boss a while back. So
that's a way to start a podcast. I like that.
So there's that.
Well, let me first say I'll get a boo because I didn't see any of this series, but I mean, is all 3 of them basically about that love story, or is the character evolved as the trilogies go?
A little bit evolved, but yeah. So like it's
keeps going back to that.
It's Bridget Jones' Diaries. I forget what the second one is called, but the third one is, I think, Bridget Jones' Baby.
Well, they go all the way if there's babies.
So, yeah, it like follows them through.
Awesome. Eddie, anything to add into this one? Is this your world?
I have never seen any of them.
Yes, okay.
And it's not because I am like, oh, it's stupid. It's just I've never.
It's not your world. It's like mine. Yeah, didn't jump out at me. Yeah,
so. I've never said, hey, Renee Zellweger rom-com. Let me dive into that.
So everyone who hasn't checked that out, feel free if you feel that's your world. We will jump to Eddie's number 5 with something the 3 of us are definitely going to be very familiar with. The trilogy through Sam Raimi, round 1, with the Evil Deads. Hells yes. So Eddie, your pick, floor is yours.
I mean, of course, like, if you love horror movies and you don't like The Evil Dead, skedaddle yourself out. Like, Sam Raimi is a true originator when it comes to comedy, and just watching the progression he made as a filmmaker through these 3 movies, is ridiculous because you can tell how much he learned. And I mean, they're comfort food movies. I could throw them on at any point and be happy.
Definitely Army of Darkness jumps right out as a go-to movie. Like if I'm not feeling good, this is gonna fix it. This is gonna fix it. 82 minutes is gonna fix it really quick.
And it's kind of hard to call it a trilogy because I just saw Evil Dead Rise.
Me too.
And I loved it. Like I thought it was a really good a really good addition to the series. And I just had fun with it. And that's all I want out of an Evil Dead movie. And even the TV show was well done.
No comment on the TV show. I've not seen one episode. I did see Evil Dead Rises at the drive-in. It's something I need to rewatch. That I'm not saying I didn't like it, but the drive-in has a thing where the movie's going to be dark, which Evil Dead is. When you're outside, you're a little eye squinty. You're kind of like, I need this in my living room. So I need to kind of go back. Did I like it? Yes, especially when she started doing some of the quotes towards the end where you're kind of like, yeah.
And you knew that they were going to do that. But at the same time, like some of the cinematography of it was absolutely gorgeous. Like when you saw the fight scene happening out in the hall through the peephole in the door, that was just inspired filmmaking. So, but yeah, like the original Evil Dead trilogy is just perfect for me.
Sweet. Jessica, thoughts on this one? I know you're a fan.
I mean, yeah, of course I'm a fan of the Evil Dead trilogy. I did really like Evil Dead Rise. I agree with all of your points on the other ones that it clearly he has grown.
Yeah.
So it's a classic. You know, when me and Dave are cleaning, he always has to put a horror movie on in the background. And that's like one of the ones.
That's why your house is always dirty, because you don't you get distracted.
I mean, that's what I try to tell him. I'm like, what? How about we just listen to music?
Music, yeah, that's what it is. Put on some CDs. That's what I always do. Yeah.
Okay, so during the cleaning sprees while watching that, how many times have you held up a broom and said, "This is my broomstick"?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, that's a pissed away opportunity.
I'm gonna have to do that.
What Eddie said. Yep.
One of these times, I'm gonna have to do that.
Well, hopefully he won't see this podcast before you guys clean again, and then you could do it.
Really, we should be cleaning all the time. So
there you go. There you go. All right, cool. Well, we're moving on to my number 5. Is a curveball. Eddie, you're gonna like this one. Now, and I also say before I drop this, there's a reason it's number 5 immediately, because I'm a little bit of a hypocrite here. This last installment wasn't exactly the best, but I hold the 2 first ones so high. The Bad News Bears. Yeah, guys, let me tell you why I love these. I like Break and Training even better than the first one, and I hold the first one so high, but I think it's Break and Training such a good sequel because for the most part, 90% of the cast came back. They're older. You kind of know what to expect out of the characters. And I thought at the end of the first movie, you are kind of like, wow, this Kelly Lee kid is awesome, but like, what's his story? Oh, you got his story in this one going forward. And I just thought now that the characters were already introduced, we could move forward. And it was this, I love the whole ride of this. And usually when people say like the best baseball movies are all time, you know, they're like, oh, you know, like Major League, this and that. I take any of those Major League Baseball movies and shuffle them aside. And I immediately say, this is the best baseball movie because we all don't get to play in the major leagues. Everybody played in Little League and has their own version of their own Bad News Bears. And that's one other reason I hold this movie so ridiculously high. And right behind that, I'd put like, it's not a trilogy, but I'd put The Sandlot because everybody knows what field they played on and the wacky characters of your neighborhood and stuff. So I think those 2 movies, And of course, I will also throw, in my eyes, the best moment in all sports movies, is my own opinion. I hold it so high because I get chills every time. Is in the first Bad News Bears when the character of Amon, they get wrecked on by the Yankees at the beginning of the movie, and he climbs a tree and he throws down his uniform and goes to Buttermaker, "I don't deserve to wear that." Where is that today with these $300 million contracts and like no disregard of like, I'm playing for a city, pride, this and that. It's like, yo, it's a privilege to wear that uniform. And he felt at that moment, I don't deserve it. And he climbed a tree and threw his that uniform down. I think that's a beautiful moment in film. And I just think it's a lost trade because we all know out of the 4 franchises and so forth, like teams get held up for money. And you know what I mean? It's like they're putting the money first more than the honor of putting on the uniform. Eddie, I'm sure you've seen this a million times. Please go first.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen any of them. I've seen the original several times over. I think the second one a small handful of times. I don't even think I've seen the third one. But the first one is just a comedy classic, and I'm a huge Walter Matthau fan.
Buttermaker.
Like, yep. Oh yeah. Like so he just, the thing I loved about Matthau was he was an everyman. Like today's standards, he never would have been an actor.
No.
But he just carried such a great weight with that role because you can envision him as a washed up drunk little league coach.
Pool cleaner. A pool cleaner.
Yeah. It was. So, it was a perfectly cast movie, and all those kids, you could just tell how much love they had for that movie.
And I must end it on, well, before I jump into Jessica's bird, but by the time they got to Japan, it was just like, this needs to end. That's why we don't talk about Japan too much.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah. So it just, I don't know. Tanner Boyle wasn't even in the last one, that character, Chris Barnes. So like he even bailed out of that one. So, but Jessica, any thoughts on this one? Did you happen to get in this one?
I have never seen it.
I can see that you're younger than me and Eddie, but this is worth checking out. If I don't know if you're or anyone who's listening, if you happen to be under the age of 30 and you want to see like just what it was like to be in Little League back in the 70s, please all check that out. You won't be disappointed. All right, moving on to number 4, and we'll stick with Jessica. Coming in at her number 4 is Fear Street. Floor's all yours.
So, Fear Street, like, originally I didn't expect much from it because it's Netflix, and you're kind of like, sure, we'll watch it and see what happens. But I really like movies that connect to each other in the sense that, like, the third one, if you've seen it, the third one kind of shows like how it connects back to the first one, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. The wraparound.
Yeah. Like the first 2 Insidious movies kind of do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really like that, and like I said, it kind of like surprised me on how good it was. And even like some of the for a Netflix movie, especially, like some of the graphics were really good. Like they kill somebody with a bread cutter.
Gotcha.
Like some interesting things happened, and I did not expect any of that. And I was like really impressed. Really.
So let me be the first one to jump in and take a boo. I'd not seen this. I don't watch a lot of Netflix. I think they're a little too political for my world. But how new is this?
I think it came out like last year or so.
And they record all 3 of them at once?
I believe so.
Okay.
Then like it's 3 different, like one of them is like more like today, then the other one is like, I want to say like the 1900s, and then the third one is like the 1800s or something like that.
Well, let's find out a second. So 1984,
Oh, yeah, here we go.
1978, and 1666.
66. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. See that? I'm freaking full of info.
There you go. There you
Cheat
go.
sheet. Pull up the cheat sheet. Eddie, did you happen to see this?
No, I haven't. Netflix got cut because I had to consolidate how many streaming services I had.
Fair enough.
And I don't watch enough of their stuff to
pay that price because it's like the highest one, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't seen them. And are they based on R.L. Stein books, or am I?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Which I like R.L. Stein, so I'll give him a whirl at some chance. But
yeah,
I haven't delved into that world.
Coolness. All right. Well, everyone, feel free to check out Jessica's pick there if you have Netflix, if you could still afford it. All right. Coming in at Eddie's number 4, and I highly approve. Something we all love. And actually, I didn't realize this was part of a trilogy till Eddie gave you the selection. The Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World End series. Floor's yours, sir.
Otherwise known as the Cornetto trilogy.
Like, bad. That didn't happen. Go ahead.
I love these movies so much. Like, I saw Shaun of the Dead before it got released in America. It was released a year or two before in the UK, and I thought it was brilliant. And then through that, I found the show that they had done previously, Spaced. And I mean, Shaun, like, they all have different themes to them. And like, each of them are just great parodies, amazing writing, a great casting. So really, like, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a trio between Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, and Edgar Wright who can pay homage to all their influences in a way that they do.
Yeah,
because it's.
Dude, I think you're totally head on, dude. This is a great combo, a great series, and particularly when Shaun of the Dead came out. We were bringing back zombies fast and running, and they were updated with these amazing effects, but they were the first to go, let's make this funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they hit perfect at the perfect time. I remember seeing this for the first time at the Trocadero when I worked there on a movie Monday. And we were all in stitches. Like, we were freaking like, this is amazing. Yeah.
And because each of them have so many Easter eggs in them. And you're just like, oh my God, like, how did I catch that? And I think The World's End really didn't get the due that it was deserved, because in all honesty, it's a movie about having to grow up.
I think you wonder, like, did they go as far as they could go? Like, was the third one pushing it? Maybe people were over that combination of those two as well. You know, maybe it was bad timing. Maybe they went up against some heavyweight movie that came out that just.
Oh, absolutely. But I can watch all three of these in a row, like, and just laugh my ass off no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, your thoughts?
Well, I've definitely seen the first one. And it is, funny, great, classic horror. I have not seen the other two, so I cannot speak on them.
It is what it is. As I was leaving this telling Eddie, with the last one that came out was like kind of lost in the shuffle. So, but if everybody wants a funny series, definitely to check out, that's a good trilogy. All right, so coming in number 4, and you didn't see that 2 minutes ago when I hit the wrong button.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Blade, and a lot of people don't didn't pay attention before the comic book thing really took off again. Blade's a comic book from Marvel, and I remember when this came out, I didn't think it was going to be this good. I really didn't. I didn't think the movie. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." I walked out of the theater. I went back the next week and saw it the following weekend. That's how much I love freaking Blade. His character was amazing. The character of Deacon Frost was amazing. Chris Christopherson, come on, Whistler did this awesome. And then when you followed up the second film, you really stacked the deck with actors like that. Who was who at the time? And then I would say a little bit by the third one, I think it was kind of over, but I did still like it. I did like the third one a lot, but you kind of felt like, all right, yeah, we do need to kind of put this character to bed for a little bit. But and I know something happened with Snipes, and he was mad about the third movie somehow. If he was mad at the directors or the studio because he didn't show up to the premiere or do any marketing. I don't know what the story was. Eddie, you might know. Who knows? Eddie, you know?
Now, okay, the first one was great. Like it had some clunky CGI, but I mean, at the time it was
1997
limited.
Yeah.
What helped Blade 2 was the fact that it was written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. And I'm the first to admit I'm a Del Toro fanboy. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, it was like at the tail end before Snipes went to prison, and Patton Oswalt really delved into it because he was in it. And
Will was in that movie? I don't even remember.
Yeah, he played like the technology geek in the in Whistler's Daughters group.
Okay. All right.
And
this is where the problem came?
Well, he said that Snipes would not break character for anything. All he would do is sit in his trailer and smoke weed all day. Most of the shots of Snipes in action weren't Snipes. They were his stunt double. They had him, he would only do like close-ups. So it was a plague production, and the movie was supposed to hand on the torch to Jessica Alba and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, the Night Stalkers. Wasn't that what their name was? Or Night something?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm of the opinion the second one is just absolutely brilliant in every way because it took chances of changing the vampires. Ron Perlman was in it, and Ron Perlman just makes everything better.
You're right. I'm totally on board with that one. And if anyone remembers the second one, there was an Asian guy that was was with Ron Perlman and his crew. That's Donnie Yen, who was eventually came he came Yip Man, and he also was in Rogue One as I'm the blind guy. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. He did all the martial arts for that film, and hardly said anything. His character got out, but that's how far back that dude goes.
And I actually just watched the new Donnie Yen movie Sakura this weekend.
How'd that go? All right. So yeah, Jessica, your thoughts on this trilogy?
So I actually wasn't introduced to this trilogy until I was like when I was like 20, I guess. And other than Lost Boys, this was like my only other vampire movie, and I really like it a lot. And I was like, oh, I got to see the second one now. So it's kind of like, oh, now watch the third one. And yeah. And I think they are going to make another one now into the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I think they're just restarting that whole, like a new guy is going to take over the whole trilogy. I don't know. I don't remember who they cast for it.
Marshada Ali, I believe, is his name.
Okay.
And they were supposed to start filming, but because of the Writers Guild strike, it's been pushed back.
Okay.
Understood. Okay. Well, it's going to be weird, but I'm one of them. I don't like when you replace the lead actor, but when it comes to something like this and age, like just you got to let that go when it comes to an action film. You kind of can't be like, you don't need to be Steven Seagaling to kick the fake kick to the face and stuff and all that. Speed up the frame rate. No one will even know. But yeah, but not Blade. Everybody, I'm sure we didn't really introduce anyone to that. But if you haven't, you're new to this world and you've been wondering what why people speak highly of Blade. Trust the three of us and go check it out. So, we're back. Wait a minute. Wait. All right, yes. All right, so we're going to go into threes, just like that. So, we're going to stick with Jessica and her pick for the original Spider-Man series. So that makes Sam Raimi have 2 selections out of our 15. Floor is yours.
Yep, back to Sam Raimi. So these movies, I remember like as a kid kind of seeing scenes here and there. My brother was really into them. I was like 8 or 9 when the first one came out. But more recently, like I said, in my like 20s or so, I have been watching more like superhero movies and I of all the Spider-Man movies, I would say this is definitely the best trilogy. And it has that iconic upside down kiss scene.
Yes.
It's got Goblin. You can't go wrong.
Now, you're right. I was really pumped for this character to finally like emerge with today's technology. So when this movie came out, I totally dug it. It was like, Eddie pretty sure knows this too, but that was supposed to be Malkovich was originally supposed to be the Goblin, but he said he didn't want to be typecasted as a villain, so that's when they brought in William Dafoe. But you're right, I dug it. To me, when you say Spider-Man, I'm always going to think of Tobey Maguire. Yeah. I'm also one of them, for a guy who makes film and acts, I have a big thing about not gypping the audience. So when this trilogy ended, by 2009, 2001 to 2009, and it was like, oh, we're just going to restart this whole over with a new actor. I was like really standoffish. Like, yo, man, like
this just ended.
This just you didn't give. So I never watched those 2 amazing Spider-Man movies, and I never seen the new ones with the Tom Holland, but I did see Tom Holland as him as in Infinity War. Like, I'm not gonna skip out on that. So I have to say, like from what I saw, but I like Tobey Maguire. I guess we all kind of grew up on Tobey Maguire. I was always rooting for him. He's in one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, Pleasantville. So I was like totally rooting for Maguire on that. But by the time the third one came, I realized people gave a lot of flack to it, and it is the weakest of it all. But like, I didn't hate it the way people did. Like when they put the spin on Sandman and made him like this fallen father and all that. It's like I didn't really care about that. It didn't bother me that much. Like, okay, I get it. That's not really what he's about. He's more of a bank robber guy, but it didn't bother me that much is what I'm saying. So many people went like, oh, but yeah. But Eddie, your thoughts?
I love these movies. But I also remember when they first announced the original one, the original trailer. Where
9/11, yes,
it was pre 9/11, and when Spidey got the helicopter stuck between the Twin Towers,
and that was one of 2 major. Okay, so the other one was a television series. The first 24 had to be rewritten halfway through because that happened. It was about terrorists bringing down the towers. Yeah. So they had to stop, and that was what it was. Yeah. And George Carlin, the 2 days before, recorded a special about he wanted to see everything in the world blow up, and one of his main things was taking down the Twin Towers, and he recorded it, and his manager called right there, like, bury that. We're never going there.
Yeah.
Get rid of it now.
I think that Carlin special was called, like, I kind of like it when a lot of people die.
Yeah.
But, like, the first 2 were both flawless, even though I have one big issue with one of the biggest scenes in that movie.
Now, which part are we talking about?
When he's stopping the subway train.
Yeah.
Not because I thought it was a bunch of crap, but because I lived in that neighborhood in Brooklyn, and that train was an underground train. It was never an elevated train.
Oh.
And
okay.
I'm nitpicky about stuff like that. I'm like, a train don't go through Bay Ridge like that. So, but I mean, Tobey Maguire was great. Kirsten Dunst was great. Like, they're just fun movies. And that's when it seems like Fox actually cared about their Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well, they got sold to Sony when X-Men blew up. Sony got the rights to Spider-Man. I think they still... So I think what it is now, Marvel could use Spider-Man, but I believe Sony has all the rights to the toys and T-shirt sales still. It was like, we're not giving that up. We know where the money is when it comes to that stuff.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All it is toys. That's all.
Yeah.
No, but everybody who hasn't checked out the Spider-Man series, the original ones, I'm signing off on. I don't know about that after that. All right. Eddie's number 3 has made made this list for another countdown I have done. I highly agree with this one. The Naked Gun trilogy, which, before I give Eddie the floor, for anyone who knows, when I screen movies in my yard, this is the number 1 trilogy that I screen on a regular basis. And I'm usually by myself, but it's something that always picks me up no matter what. So Eddie, your pick. The floor is yours.
Sexual assault with a concrete dildo?
Yep.
I love Leslie Nielsen. Like, I try to deadpan like Nielsen as much as possible because he just had such an amazing delivery with everything that he did. And I loved these movies when I was a kid, and I still love them to this day. Like, and just like the supporting cast that they got for them.
George Kennedy, yeah.
O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
And then, like, even some of the other stars, like Robert Goulet.
Mr. Poopy Pants, yeah.
Yeah. So, and Priscilla Presley, like, everybody in this movie tried to play it as straight as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes them so great, is they're just so well written and they're timeless to me.
Yeah. They were, especially when you said, when brought up George Kennedy and Leslie Nielsen, they played off each other so good. George Kennedy has so much good in that trilogy. Like, I know that I kind of blend them all together, but like them two, their standard dialogue that they would have. Something funny's happening every minute, but I still die at like all the one-liners. We all have the ones that stick out, but particularly when Leslie Nielsen tells George Kennedy, "Hey, I understand your wife's pregnant again," like an upbeat tone, and he grabs Leslie Nielsen and goes, "And when I find out who the father is."
But I mean, it's also just the little sight gags, like when they're eating in the restaurant, and the waiter comes up and turns around and he's bare ass. And it's just like, it's so unexpected, but expected at the same time.
Yeah.
So I just they're all-time classic comedies too.
Do you remember the trailer for the second film? Particularly the second film with the sharks?
Oh my God, I had forgotten about
you did,
that.
Yeah.
One.
So anybody who should check it out on YouTube, the Naked Gun 2.5 trailer. But they're playing that's like there's some British voiceover guy talking about like and there's a piano playing, so you think it's some love story. And there's two people running through the field. There's a woman running through the field to a house. It's like the love of her life. And it's at the side of a cliff. and Leslie Nielsen opens up the door and accidentally hits her, and she falls off into a pool of sharks. And the music kicks in. You're just like, that's freaking brilliant. It's just so good. Jessica, did you happen to see these?
I have not, but I feel like I need to.
So Eddie and I will let you know right now, if David puts these on while you're cleaning, stop cleaning.
Well, we never put on a movie that we've never seen while we clean. It has to be something like that we've seen a million times.
Jessica, I guarantee you when you get off of here, like if you just voice command this on your tight TV, all three of them are going to come up. I don't know what network. I can't tell everybody right now, but they got to come up.
Okay.
Yeah,
we got to watch it.
Yeah. These are just, they're good. They're like quick 82, 85 minutes in and out, and boom. So awesome. So we're going to jump into my number 3, which is something I don't think any of you guys saw coming. It's overlooked, and this is the point of when I do this countdown. We'll give the origin in a second, but first I will announce it. Coming in at my number 3, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. Yes.
Yeah.
So let me go say that when the first one came out, I had never heard of any of this before. I met a girl. She was like, let's go to the movies. It was like our first date. And we met in the parking lot. And I hate these dates because you break ice for 5 minutes and then you go sit in the theater next to somebody that is a stranger. And I was like, I don't want to be here. And it was the European version. I never saw the American version. And I sat down and I asked her, I go, how long is this movie? She's like 2.5 hours. And I'm like, I got very upset. Like, not saying nothing verbally out loud, but I'm like, I'm going to have to sit here with a subtitle movie for 2.5 hours. And after about 12 minutes, I'm into this. I'm like, well, I don't care if this date, she could go away. I'm into this movie. So by the end, I was glad it happened. And, Purple Rain and, later on. But anyway, but this trilogy, I got so into. I loved the actress that was in, we're talking the European version, same one that was in Prometheus and everything. But I got so into this movie that I went back and saw it again. And I was like, that's how, because it's a dialogue-driven movie with subtitles. So you're kind of like, I want to make sure if you're a little confused on something. I went back and saw it again, but I was foaming at the mouth for the second and third one. And I really loved the third one, how that character arc went so high and how intelligent the character was through the whole courtroom scenes where you think like the lawyers like dress the role and all that. Nope. She goes full punk rock and has a foolproof plan of how to win the case and do the wraparound of the whole movie. And for anybody who's like loves art movies, action movies, you guys have to see The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. It's so freaking good. And the acting's great. Now, I know they made an American version with Daniel Craig. I'm one of the people, if you like something the way it is, I don't like seeing like the Japan version versus the American. I don't need to like critique stuff like that. Like if you like what you like, in my case, I watch it and I walk away. So I never saw the Daniel. I'm pretty sure it's great, but I don't need to see it is what I'm going to go with. So Jessica, did you happen to see this?
I have not, because I know what it's about, and I can't see stuff like that.
I completely understand exactly what you're talking about, and it is what you're thinking. Yeah, it was one of them. It's uncomfortable, that's for sure. Yeah. Eddie?
I've seen the I believe it's Swedish version. I've seen the trilogy, but I also did watch the first of the American ones.
What was your thoughts on that? Did it feel like a drop off? Or did it feel fine?
At some points, there were some really moments that were really underplayed in the Swedish version that they ramped up for the American version.
Okay.
I mean, Noomi Rapace is phenomenal.
So good. Yep.
She was her. but Rooney Mara really had a good shot at it. But one thing about the Americanized version that sets it above was on the soundtrack, 9 Inch Nails with Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs covering Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song.
Okay.
Oh, it's a banger, but yeah, like the subject matter, it is really exceptionally like triggering, but they were beautifully shot movies. Like you could feel the isolation and all around just really well done. I never did read the book.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. All right, so we're down to our number 2s. And we're going to go with Jessica's number. Coming at her number 2 is Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and 3 from Hell. All you, kid.
Again, great horror movies. I love Rob Zombie. I don't kill me, but I actually like his Halloween better than the original Halloween.
Oh, no. I'm fine. I thought you were going to say H2. That's why I was stepping back. I was going to cry.
No.
All right. Yeah.
But again, like I was saying earlier, with like when we clean, this trilogy is on in the background when we're cleaning, the living room, the kitchen, whatever. And it's just crazy. Like just everything that they do, everything that they get into, all the kills, it's just like crazy.
Yeah, I'm very big on the
house to put it.
Yeah, well, the first 2, if you really look at the first flick, which had I think a 3-year tie-up because of the controversial police guy getting shot in the back of the head, that the studio was like, no violence against cops. It was a different time, and he refused to remove the scene. Yeah. So I don't know how that got smoothed out, but I looked at the Corpses as a tribute to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's just putting his own spin, introducing new characters. Fun movie, in and out. I didn't think much of it. Then I saw the trailer for the Devil's Rejects, and I'm like, this looks awesome, and it also looks like way different from what we saw over here. I was intrigued. And I remember when I saw that movie, I'm like, wow. Rob Zombie just made a perfect 10 film. I remember at the end with the, who's not going to think of Freebird? And anytime I hear Freebird, not think of that part. But when that ended, I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's how you end. And I was like, I was with my friend Corey, Chris X's brother, and we were like, let's watch the whole credits to make sure like they don't wake up and be like, hey, asshole, we're here or something. Yeah. But when I was like, wow. And to me, this is like Aliens or Terminator 2. You're like, there's only one direction to go here. So as much as like we're praised the trilogies, I hated everything I saw out of that last film. To me, he killed the beauty, which was Devil's Rejects. I did really thought without Sig Hagen there, because it was Sig and Bill Moseley's acting that covered for Sherry Moon's lack of acting. So now you got to see her have to hold the film a little more in this third one, and I was like, I didn't think Rob's heart was into this. Maybe it had something to do with losing Captain Spaulding. Like maybe he was just like, throw it out there. But there was so many plot holes, particularly Danny Trejo's part, where like he's like, what did I do? I was like, what did you do? You caught the most infamous killers of all time. What did I do? Where'd they come up with that one? And it had very few moments, and then that whole part where like the kitchen table scene, I was like, well, you're just reenacting kind of what you did in the hotel. I was like, I don't know. Eddie, thoughts on this one? Well, the whole trilogy.
I agree with you that the first two are certainly better.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah, that was the Bad News Bears breaking training part. 3 from Hell. That's what I call it. I'm sorry. Go to Japan. Go to Japan.
Admittedly, I have not seen 3 from Hell.
Good for you.
And that one I've just been avoiding because, like you said, The Devil's Rejects, it didn't need a sequel.
No.
Like House of a Thousand Corpses, you could tell it was a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
And he was throwing ideas. It was fun, though.
Yes, it was.
It was a lot of
characters
fun
that we needed. You know, we needed some.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I saw The Devil's Rejects, I felt like I had to take a shower afterwards. Because, like, I mean, it was just a grimy ass movie. And
not a boring moment, such strong characters, strong story. And you even kind of had a thing like, okay, the bad guys are the good guys, but how could you not relate to Sheriff Wydell, where he had to go in his mind to take people down like this? Like,
yeah,
even at the end, I was a little bit like, oh, you know, but it comes to them versus him. Yeah, he could go, but you were kind of like, oh, you know, he's just avenging his brother, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the soundtrack flowed. Right at the beginning, when the Allman Brothers song kicks in, they're like, who would put an Allman Brothers song to open a moment like that? And it flowed beautifully. It was so good.
Honestly, like, Rob Zombie set the bar so high for himself with that movie that he never is going to be able to recapture the fire that he made with that.
I know one way, and we all know what it is. He's never going to do it. He's got to do a movie without his wife in it. He's got to put the bar down, because every movie he's made, he literally writes movies for his wife, like you know, like 31 and stuff, and you're just like,
okay, yeah. But 31 was good.
Nah,
you didn't like 31?
No, I thought it had no character development really at all of everybody else besides her. I thought there was no development. And I thought the pacing was just a badly paced movie. I felt the entire time text going across the screen, imaginary, I made this for my wife. I made this for my wife. Because no one else, why is no one hiring her? Why does no one else put her in a movie? Because she's not good at it. That's why. Moving on to Eddie's number 2, which we will all highly approve. The first 3 Romeros of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Days of the Dead. Or Day of the Dead, sorry. Eddie, all you.
What can I say?
Yeah.
The original old school zombie movies. Like,
the original, George Romero made the first to make the flesh-eating zombie. We've had zombies before that, but the flesh-eating zombie.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have The Walking Dead. We wouldn't have a lot of stuff if it wasn't for this movie.
Yeah, and the thing about it is he made them as socio-political commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to try and make movies like that now, people would scream about him being woke.
And he was woke before woke was cool, or in my eyes, cool to annoying. But he did. Yeah, you're right. And there's a reason Hollywood didn't like him after a while. Is because he was shaking the boat like that, especially at the beginning of like Dawn of the Dead, with everything going.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That beginning upset a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Like, because you had Night of the Living Dead, which is an allegory about racism.
Yep.
Dawn of the Dead, which was about consumerism. And then Day of the Dead.
Kill the lower class, because they don't matter. Like, they're like, we don't care about that else. Kill the lower class. Yeah, kill them.
And then Day of the Dead, which went against the paramilitary or the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like he was basically at the time Bernie Sanders making movies.
Uh-huh.
So, but he also made fun movies too.
Creepshow.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
he not only made good like aware movies, but he made fun movies too. And Creepshow, The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, one of the greatest stories ever told, just for the line meteor shit. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Especially those first two Creep shows, all those stories are just quotable and burned in our minds. And I don't think there's any of us that don't think what you would do if you were on the raft. Like what's your plan to escape? Which was me, is push everybody in, and I'm running. I push everybody in.
Yeah.
I can be the fastest swimmer. I'm a dick.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk all day long about The Walking Dead, but if it weren't for Romero, The Walking Dead wouldn't be around.
You're right. So you got to give kudos and credits to George. I don't know about Jessica because she goes to cons too, but I definitely got to meet George Romero a bunch of times. I'd say like the last 5 years of his life, and he was probably the ultimate fan friendly. Him and Sig Hag, but like he would talk to you forever. He didn't care. George, like you could keep kissing his butt, and he wouldn't be like, "Yo, you need to calm that down." He'd just be like, "Thank you," repeat, "Thank you." Yeah. All right, guys, get ready for my number 2. This is a good curveball here. Everyone might do a quick chuckle, and then I'm going to break why I picked this. Eddie, you're going to love this one. Coming in at number 2, the Porky's Trilogy. So anybody under 30, you have no idea how forgotten, how amazing this movie is. What this means for anybody of like 35 and above. Porky's came in 1981. This is a trilogy, and when you would say Porky's, everybody thought about this infamous shower scene where it's about a bunch of high school kids spying on naked girls in the shower. Yeah, that's there, guys. And that's what it was like loosely based on. Everybody's just like, oh, it's another 80s kind of smut film. And when I was about 11 years old, the kids in the neighborhood were telling me about a videotape that as I was becoming a man, which they were going to pass off to me. And so the kids in the neighborhood found out I was going to be 12. They showed me where they kept this sacred tape in a bag by the river. And you can take this and watch it. Just return it. This is for all of us. And they told me what it was. We all walked away. And then I faked that my mom was calling me. I had to go back to the house. I ran. I grabbed that tape, and they never saw it again. So I watched Porky's. And yeah, guys, that shower scene that we're talking about, of course, I'm a curious kid, and I probably watched that scene for 3 straight hours, rewinding, because I never saw a naked woman before. But by the time I got done watching this movie, I realized this is an actual movie. It's not just a smut film. But it's a comedy. There would be no American Pie for anyone who loves American Pie. You could clearly tell this American Pie had a Porky's influence on it. Goddamn. But you got your virgin wacky guy like Edward P. Morris. You got Meat, the big jock guy, and I mean, you got so much going on here, and you even have like just standard high school stuff. Were with bad parents, where the character of Tim, who is a greaser, whose father taught him to be racist. And this is like supposed to be a smut movie. It's got, you got a whole storyline here where a new kid comes to town who's Jewish and joins the group, and he doesn't like him because daddy taught him not to like him. So they get in a fight. He loses. His dad kicks his ass for losing to a Jewish guy. There's so much side stuff in here. And then there's the whole character of Porky, basically being a mobster and getting away with a lot of bad stuff here. And these guys want to go serve this guy a receipt. And yes, there's teen angst and all this, but by the time I was done, I was like, wow, this is like a good movie. It's not like a bad acted movie at all. And that's why they made a whole trilogy out of it. So I think kind of by the time you got to the third one, you have that standard 80s stuff because the cast of Porky's was about 29 years old when the movie started. So by the time they're seniors in high school, they all look 35. It's like someone have receding hairlines, but it's like, but I think these films are really funny too. The character of Porky is one of the top 10 characters I've ever seen in a movie. Like the character, his delivery of his lines, it's just wonderful. It's based in the 50s. I highly recommend this. I know you can put it on your TV and just pull it up on demand and watch it for free. I think they're all free on Tubi right now. Eddie, because I know you know what I'm talking about here. Your thoughts on Porky's?
Oh yeah. I actually had seen Porky's 2 before I saw the original.
So I think it's the weakest one, but yeah.
And I'm watching it, and to this day, I'm still known for bringing the woogie woogie woogie
Steve's character.
Woogie. Then I had seen the original Porky's, and like you had said, there a lot of the themes in that movie were pretty heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, there's the shower scene. But at the same time, I mean, they're dealing with like racism because I mean, Porky was a huge racist.
Yes.
So it was really like,
and Mickey's character getting beat up that bad and kept going back over pride, like that he almost died. Like I was like, man, this is a freaking serious movie.
yeah. It definitely isn't the lighthearted like comedy that everyone thinks it was, because when you rewatch it, you're like, damn, that's actually pretty heavy, you know. Like,
and you even said with the second one, the Ku Klux Klan's in that.
Yeah,
like, you know, you're just like, yeah. So, and of course, through the entire three, there's practical jokes going on through all of it, especially like the Miss Cherry Forever in the first one. That to me is still one of the most funniest freaking like
yeah.
And the Graveyard Gloria in the second movie that makes me laugh all the time. So
yeah, so definitely it was a good curveball. So good choice on that one, Lauren.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm gonna guess you haven't seen these.
Absolutely not.
You get a chance. I don't know. I don't know if David, this is David's cup of tea, but I can tell you this: for anyone who watches this, the movies hold up, and I'm not saying it because I favor them, but these were just good movies. There's a reason they made 3 of them, you know, and they were released. I know in Canada, I think it still holds the record as like the highest grossing comedy.
Oh.
Or it's second now, but I mean, it did that good. Coolness. All right, well, we're down to our number ones. I'm liking everybody's list perfectly. Jessica, this will be your final one for you coming at number one we all know very well, and it's well deserving being your number one. Back to the Future. I mean, come on, guys. 3 beautiful films. Lots to say here. Jessica, the pick is yours. All you.
Well, it goes back to that whole wraparound thing. I want to say first, it's one of my favorite movies. I probably watched it when I was way too young to watch it. My cousin introduced me to it about a year and a half ago. We actually had the chance to get a photo op with Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
They're going to be in Philly for the new Wizard World thing.
Yeah, Fan Expo. Yeah.
With Biff.
So I got Christopher Lloyd's signature, and now I have to get Michael J. Fox signature. But I just, again, like the whole wraparound thing, just everything that they envisioned would happen in the future basically did happen. A lot of it. I'm a huge fan of like the style and like the music and stuff like the 50s.
Yeah, God. It's lights out. The first one particularly is just a lights out, beautiful film.
Yeah. They're just
outside of that, he only gave himself 11 minutes at the very end. Like you'd think he'd go back a few days early.
Yeah.
to save his
That
buddy.
was a little crazy, but
to me, you could say it produced 3 or 4, even 5 characters of pop culture. To me, the character of Biff and George McFly, because Christmas, they're just I'm just captivated when I see the two of them, and I love how they played off each other.
Biff's going to be at that Fan Expo too.
Yeah, yes, he's going to be there. I'm a huge, and I know I've heard nightmare stories because he's such an artist, but I have to have Crispin Glover in one of my movies, and I will put up with anything that he has to go through. If he wants to change the story, I'm going to be like, yeah, whatever.
Sure, do whatever you want.
I'll build the movie around you after you're wrapped. I don't care, but that's how much I think he's one of the top 10 best actors ever. I think he's such an artist and he cares so much that he doesn't hear when the directors are actually trying to direct them. So I think that's where his downfall is. But the only thing worse than that is an actor that doesn't care. And that's why I give Crispin Glover so much credit.
Right.
Yeah. Eddie.
This is part of my childhood.
Yes.
I saw all 3 of these in the theater.
Awesome.
And to this day, I mean, like, it's a fully realized trilogy.
Yep.
And how many trilogies do you know that were able to finish out on their own terms with everybody that was involved still involved?
And
there's very few.
And you had a big advantage because at that time, Michael J. Fox didn't age at all in like 6 or 7 years, like literally at all.
No.
He looked exactly like a child still. It said everything I needed to say. Like even the third one to me is the weakest of them all, but it's still awesome. But I kind of thought the third one wasn't exactly needed, but I was cool with it. But like, you're kind of like, good, please stop.
Yeah.
I'm good with these 3 films right here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Coolness. All right. So we are going to go down to Eddie's number 1. I will also say this is not on my list. I kind of had it. It was going to be definitely on my list. Once Eddie picked it, I backed off. I highly agree with his trilogy here of the recent Planet of the Apes series. Such a well-told freaking story, but as your pick, Eddie, you go first.
I never knew that in modern cinema, one of my favorite characters of all time would be a CGI ape.
Yep.
Like Andy Serkis gave Caesar such life as a character. And granted, the first one was clunky.
Yes,
in a few ways. It had some missteps, but it set up for undoubtedly 2 of the best sequels of all time. Like, and they told it all through the eyes of a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Like, and a great supporting cast throughout the entire thing. I mean, James Franco in the first one, Joel Edgerton in the second one, and then
Paul Giamatti. I mean, you had a lot of good,
I mean, the fact that Gary Oldman and Woody Harrelson were in it, like, just, and the life they gave the apes in this movie.
Yes.
Like, they set a standard for how they actually recreated the standard of how you can do CGI motion capture acting.
And make you get behind the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when Caesar felt betrayed in that first movie when he yells kind of like, no, he's not leaving. Like, you're like, oh, man, he's hurt. Like, I believe the CGI character, like, is such an emotionally hurt right now,
Yeah. Like, when he screamed no, you felt it.
Yep.
And through, like, the entire theme of how he was just protecting his family.
Yep.
Like, it really, like, it put you through an emotional ringer. And in the second one,
people give the second one a lot of crap. I like the second ones like a lot. Yeah.
The second one,
Ape does not kill ape.
Yeah, Koba was such an amazing character.
Yep.
And I cannot remember Toby Kebbell, or I think is the actor that played him.
Okay. Yeah, I got
and he's a phenomenal actor, and he did just as well as Andy Serkis did. Mm-hmm. And then Maurice, the other ape that is like Caesar's right-hand man.
Yes.
Just absolutely phenomenal throughout the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know a lot of people are like, you can't beat the original. I'm like, no, you can add on to it.
Yeah.
Like, and I love the fact that they set it up that you can see where the original fits in without feeling like it's shoehorned in.
Yeah, and I love that last one. I did not think that was going to be the ending with Caesar. I didn't see that one coming. I was like, "Yeah, they're going there." I was like, "Okay," but
yeah, Caesar's story is told.
Yeah,
so
and what happened to his kids through Woody Harrelson and all that. You're just like, "Wow!" I just didn't think. I thought they were going to rewrite new stories and stuff, and I was like, "Wow, okay, they went there." I was like, "That was a dark freaking ending."
Oh, absolutely. But you can also see where they're setting up to tie things in to the original movie.
Yeah.
So,
Jessica, your thoughts? Did you see the series?
Sadly, no.
You're fired. No. Add this to the list with Porky's in the Naked Gun series. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. You can't see everything.
Well, apparently, Dave only shows me horror movies.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Dave loves history and stuff. So just tell him the apes were real at one point, and he'll want to watch it. So.
Okay, there we go.
Real coolness. All right. We're moving on to the last pick of the series, which was will be my number one, which a lot of people don't remember is even a freaking trilogy. I got a lot to say on why I picked this one and why I hold it so high.
Oh.
Unbreakable, Split, and Mr. Glass. Guys, I mean, call me a little bit of a homer here too because I'm a Philadelphia guy. I love movies about history, and I love anything to do with the human mind could do things and go into areas that, you know, we have yet to master. And I absolutely love the Bruce Willis character from Unbreakable, but that's not what totally sells it. It's the character of Split. I love this character that spills into the whole Glass series, but I love the idea of what the Beast is, that someone could actually go inside their own mind and create something that you're invincible, practically invincible, and could climb walls. And I trust it, guys. All I do is watch lots of documentaries on history. I love finding out like anything to do with some human mind moving stuff. I guess I'm a Professor X fan. And speaking of that, look who the actor is that's playing this role. But I was so into this, and I love that fight at the end in Glass. I love how the camera work was. They show one on one side and one on the other. I love the character of Mr. Glass, of how he was the mastermind bringing all this together. I did not see that ending coming. I did. That was kind of shocking. I didn't think M. Night would have done that, but he did. But I like the FU at the end. Gives me goosebumps of how he ended that, you know, at the train station and all that. So M. Night's a guy. Well, you love a lot of his movies. He's definitely done stuff that pissed a lot of people off. I stick up for him. I like his twist, but I just think this trilogy is so strong. Out of my list here, I kind of did put it number one for a reason. I hold the torch that high for it. So when people say trilogies, what do you think is the best trilogy? I've been saying this one. This and the girl with the dragon tattoo are like kind of like my favorite. Like if you were just to narrow all this down. So with that, Eddie, your thoughts on this trilogy?
I like when Unbreakable came out. It was a comic book movie for people who didn't read comic books.
Yep.
And it was before the MCU got huge. And you could tell how much love M. Night Shyamalan had for the comic book medium. And interesting premise, like, and the ending was just like, whoa. Like, you never saw that ending coming. Split, holy shit. James McAvoy playing so many different characters in the span of a few minutes. He really,
and you got to know them. Like once he became this one, you're like, oh, okay, this is what the girls could do now. Why that character is still there until the switch hits. You were like, you got to learn it as an audience. You kind of got to know, like, okay, you know,
yeah. And I mean, it really was just a wild ride. And then honestly, like the third one, I didn't love it. It just it didn't really stick the landing for me. But I recognize that M. Night Shyamalan doesn't make it easy for his audience.
Yeah, look, you're not the first one. I'd actually say majority people got mad at Glass. If you know, it was the number one at the box office for 3 straight weeks, which was kind of rare these days. But
yeah,
you know, it worked for me. You know, I don't know what you were looking for. What were you looking for to tie them together?
I don't know, but I mean, I don't hate M. Night Shyamalan. He's made some great movies. But come on, he's made some big duds too.
The biggest letdown out of it was the ending of The Village, because like I had to wait 2 hours to hear this. That's it. That's your curveball.
Yeah,
that's like, I was expecting a fight of these creatures. That's what I was like. That's it.
Yeah, and the fact that like the reveal was him sitting in a guard shack telling the story, and you're like, if he had just jumped out in front of the camera butt naked and jerked himself off while telling the end of the movie, I would have been more forgiving.
All right, I'd rather come up with a different ending. I don't need to see it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But
yeah,
this trilogy heavily worked for me. Feel free for anyone who hates the comment on below there. I'll fight you all day on this one, folks. But I was big into it. And did you feel that you didn't feel it was a good send off between those 3 characters?
And landings are so hard to stick. Like ending at things like in a way that's satisfying for everyone is damn near impossible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I give him credit for trying, but at the same time, I don't know what I was looking for out of it, but I just didn't. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I wanted.
Cool.
So,
Jessica.
So I actually think this was originally on my list too.
Yes, it was.
I love Split. I really think he should have won an Oscar for all those characters he plays in such a short period of time. That's amazing. Before I saw Split, we the audience realized it was a connection, and then Dave was like, "Oh, you got to see Unbreakable."
Yeah.
So I actually saw Split first.
Ow. Okay.
And then Unbreakable, and then we went to the theater to go see Glass.
It's definitely a dog. Yeah. All
right. But I agree with you 100%. It's a great trilogy. A little bit of like with Eddie here, with the ending being a little bit disappointing in my opinion.
Is it because they both checked out and you wanted to? Was that what's bothering you? Like you were attached to the characters, or did you want more?
Maybe. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to go. Trust me, I liked them both a lot, but it was kind of also about like James's character, where like
Yeah.
he was changing and saying goodbye, but you wondered if like love killed the demon, but what if he just stayed the beast? Would he have gotten up? Like his mind's like, no, we're not dying.
Yeah.
No, we're not dying. So
all the mind things that like you were saying.
I love that about the human
Yeah.
race. We're just wasted space with what we do daily. Like, you just sit there and you're like, what
Let's
could
go
we be
to
doing with
blah,
this?
blah. Yeah.
What could we be doing with this that we're not? So, well, and if you did pick this, Jessica, now that the countdown's over, I was going to let you have this, and I was going to put in Meet the Fockers. That was going to be my.
Meet the Fockers is a good one too. That's a good one too.
Yeah. I was like, if I was building it around you two, whatever you picked that
Right.
was on my list, I would just fill in. So, yeah, but yeah, folks, anybody that's up check out some trilogies. You now have 15 to pick from. I'm sure half of you saw half of there and what we listed, and there's half that you haven't. But yes, please check that out. Jessica, I know you and your husband give a plug one more time of what you guys run. Halloween year round, is it?
Yes, Halloween year round. We have a blog and a YouTube channel.
Sweet. Eddie, you're just a cool dude, or are you running your own show too?
I'm a freelance writer, social media content creator, and all around highly opinionated jackass.
Yeah.
and now that I've had to stare at myself for the past hour and a half, I realized I am the living embodiment of comic book guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's great. Sweet. Well, I thank this audience for taking the time to check out another episode of Average Superstar TV. Hit that subscribe button. I'll be your best friend. And we have new shows every Monday. So until next round, I will say that the party is over.